So this is obviously going to be a sample Zoom talking about how to sell samples, how to turn the samples into loyal customers, and how to make a lot of quick cash with samples. But I also want to talk just real quick about showing up even when crap is happening in your life. And this could be dumb stuff. It could be bad stuff. Like there's always going to be something that jumps in and basically just makes the business kind of inconvenient. But how many times, put a 1 in the chat if you had a quote unquote normal job before this business, or maybe you still have a normal job. Let me make sure everyone that's supposed to talk is on here. Okay. Because I can tell you I had a job before this business and I did not call into my job every time it was inconvenient to go to work. And there were plenty of times. Guys, I remember this is when I was managing like a marketing place. And I went to work the day after my best friend committed suicide. As in, like, I didn't find out until the morning of, and then I went to work that afternoon, but it happened the night before. And I could have called off for that. However, I was the only one in the office that day. So realistically, it would have been very inconvenient to call off for everyone else. And so I chose not to. Now, that's an extreme circumstance, but there are many things I can point out like that to where stuff happened and I still had to go to work. And if you show up with the same mentality with this business, stuff happens and you still work the business, then you will make money and you will be able to turn it into a full-time income if that's something that you're looking to do. So I'm gonna tell you a little story. What's up? I'm gonna tell you a little funny story. I told Savannah this afternoon. So we went to the park this morning. We walked 2 miles there, had a blast. We did school. I worked for a little bit, walked 2 miles home. So I'm hot, I'm sweaty. She takes a little nap on the couch. I get a little bit of work done. And then we get up and we notice that the waterman is in our front yard, like the water company person. I don't know what they're called, the waterman. And he's like digging and doing something. I was like, okay, like something's being fixed. I don't even know. My daughter's watching him out the window. A couple times we waved at him. He waved at us, looking like straight up idiots because they were turning our water off and I did not know it. And we're like, hi, like, what are you doing? So long story short, they leave. And I'm thinking like maybe they shut the water off because like something's getting fixed or whatever. I just noticed like we don't have water. And so I text my neighbor. I'm like, hey, do you have water? Yeah, we have water. And then I look we live in like a ritzy community. I don't even know, but they have like their little neighborhood watch Facebook group thing that they have. Like we got a slip in our mailbox when we moved in. I was like, oh, okay. Like I've never lived in one of these before. And so I checked in there. No one mentioned anything. So I'm like, I think it's just our water was shut off. And so my first thought, because I grew up real poor, guys, like we had our water shut off multiple times. Not anything new to me. But my first thought was like, did our bank account get hacked? Like, I don't even know. So I check our account. I see the balance in there. I'm like, there's literally like 60 times over what our water bill costs. And so immediately I was like, I'm going to kill my husband. He has not been paying the water bill because he just procrastinates a lot. It's the one bill that we don't have automated because when we moved in, it wasn't an option until we were here like for so many months. And we just he just calls and pays it every month. So sure enough, I called the water company and homeboy just hasn't paid it for 2 months. Not because we didn't have the money. He just has not paid it. And so I pay both the months. I go ahead and pay an extra month because I'm like, well, the bill's due in 10 days. Let me just pay it. So we don't have to do this again until September. And then the reconnection fee was as much as a normal water bill. So I paid that as well. And I'm like, can I set this up automated now? Because I don't ever want to do this again. Like this sucks. So all that to say, I wouldn't say something bad happened to us today. It was more something dumb. It was definitely inconvenient because that was the time. The reason I found out we didn't have water is because I got up to clean my house. Do you know how much longer it takes to do dishes when you don't have water? It means, and we don't even have gallons of water because we don't do that. Like our tap water is fine, but we had bottles of water because I bought a bunch for the fair. So I'm dumping bottles of water onto the stove to boil it, to dump it into a giant bowl, another giant bowl. And I'm like doing dishes by hand in my kitchen. I text my husband a picture. I was like, you better be glad that I love you. Like, you better be glad. So all that to say, I have horrible, horrible anxiety. And I have since I was a kid. I've been to therapists. I've been on medication. I'm not on anything right now. I just have learned to deal with my emotions. But I'm talking anxiety to the point where when bad things happen, and again, I wouldn't even consider this a bad thing, but like emotionally, I guess it is. I feel paralyzed. Like I can't do anything. And I've had days like that where I'm so paralyzed with anxiety, I can't even get out of bed. Now I use the word can't. Melanie Robbins, I think is her name, the 5-second lady. She talks about how whatever hormone is released when your anxiety is triggered up only lasts for like 9 seconds. And after that, it's a choice. And I understand that. I understand like the psychology behind it. So when I say the word can't, like I feel like I can't, I know that I can. But most of the time, I just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I make myself get up and power through whatever I'm feeling. And that's what I did today. Like, I'll be honest, I called them, I fixed it. And then I sat on my couch and I was like, I don't want to do anything. I want to cancel the Zoom. Like, I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, I'm sad, I'm annoyed, I'm all the different emotions. And then I got up and I powered through it. Now, if that doesn't work, sometimes it does. And I feel like, again, this has nothing to do with the Zoom, but someone on here needs to hear this, or God wouldn't have put it in my heart to share it, because I don't typically talk about things like this. And I'm not going to share this publicly on my Facebook because I don't want to make my husband look like an idiot. It was an honest mistake. It's really not that big of a deal. But it would be something that would embarrass him if I made a status about it and like, oh, my husband didn't pay the water bill. And then his brothers would, I'm sure, text him and give him crap about it as well, because that's what brothers do. So I'm not going to share it publicly, but in the sense, my husband's listening. He's like, in the air of being transparent and being real, I wanted to share it with you guys because it doesn't matter how far up you get in this business, crap is going to happen that's going to make you not want to show up to do whatever it is that you need to do. So if the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing doesn't work, and I'm not telling y'all to take, don't take your anxiety meds or don't go to therapy. Like, if you need help, go get help. I'm telling you the point you are right now, implement a couple of things. If the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 doesn't work for your specific circumstance that you're going through, the next thing that I do, and this is something my therapist had me start doing, is write down what is true, because anxiety causes you to focus on the things that aren't true. The what ifs, my husband's 30 minutes late and hasn't called me. Oh my gosh, he died in a car crash. Just saying, I've been there more than once. Like today, the water being shut off, like, oh my gosh, my bank account was hacked and now I have zero money and we're going to be homeless. That literally went through my mind. It wasn't true. So today, had I needed to sit and do this, I would have written down, okay, first truth, our water was shut off. Is it life or death? No. Is it inconvenient? Yeah. And we also had a play date planned for tomorrow. That kind of sucks because luckily it's a friend of mine from college and I know her really well. We both grew up in the ghetto. We've both been without water for weeks at a time. So I voice messaged her and explained it. I was laughing. I was like, listen, if you want to reschedule, you can reschedule. If you want to still come and bring your kids, bring your kids. Like, our house is clean. We have lots of gallons of water here to like flush the toilet and all the things. We have electricity. The only thing they can't do is play in the sprinkler. You're coming at 10 in the morning. It's supposed to rain. It probably wasn't going to happen anyways. Second truth was the water was shut off not because of money, just because of procrastination. Had it been shut off because of money, it would have been a little worse because I'd be calling around trying to borrow money from somebody. We'd probably be months and months behind because that's usually what happens when you can't pay your bills. So it's very easily fixed. Now, it was annoying. I was on hold for freaking 2 hours. I'm not even exaggerating, to finally pay the stupid thing and turn it back on. But it wasn't like, I just called and gave them my card number. The third truth I wrote down is the water will be on within 24 hours. Again, it's not that big of a deal when you compare it to all the bad things in the world. And then the fourth thing I wrote down was canceling the Zoom wasn't going to make the water come on any faster. So was there any point in canceling this? And when I say cancel, I would have just handed it off to Mandy and Chelsea. But was there any point in me not showing up? No. Whatever you're going through, is not working your business that day going to fix it? Probably not. The reality is, majority of our problems can be fixed by money. Now, I say majority. I know there's that like rare health problem or whatever that can't be. But the reality is this business gives you money if you work it. So you letting your anxiety not allow you to work the business and not get that money that you need to fix that problem, you're just creating like a vicious cycle. So again, nothing to do with tonight's Zoom, but I felt like somebody needed to hear it, or it wouldn't have been put on my heart at the exact time that, you know, the day that this was happening. So we are talking about coffee samples. I know Mandy is going to be way more beneficial in this than I am when it comes to the like standard coffee samples. I don't really sell them. I do use it as a follow-up. So if I have a host to post out for coffee, which is rare, just because I don't use a lot of them. Like I sell hair, skin, and nails, and I sell energy sticks. But hair, skin, and nails are like, I would say out of every 10 customers, 9 of them are hair, skin, and nails. And then I upsell about half of those to collagen. But if I have a host to post out or someone is interested in the coffee and then they can't afford it, what I'll do is on my Friday follow-up, I'll say, hey, I'm sending out some coffee samples. Would you like some? That's it. And also, you know, a handful of coffee samples every couple of months just by doing it as a follow-up. Taylor Kaufman actually broke down the prices. So this is American prices. Mandy can break down the Canadian, or just kidding, Australian, because I know that's what she sells. But the American ones, you can buy a 5 3-day packs. So 3 packs of coffee, 5 of those for $35. Turn around and you sell them each 3-day pack for $20. So you make $100, and then obviously you're going to minus the $35 you spent, because you don't make $100 if you had to spend money. You know, y'all following me there? You've got to be smart with your money as well. So you profit $65 every single time that you do that. So when she said that, I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer. Like, people need to sell samples. Now with what I do is I do the energy sticks. Good job. I think Chelsea just sold a wrap. And so she's going to talk a little bit about selling wraps, because realistically, you can sample anything that is individually packaged and that you can give an ingredient list for. So if you're selling them online, I just always make sure I send the ingredient list to them, and then they get their samples. I sell the energy sticks all the time. So what I do is I will make a post, and I will put this in here once they start talking, but I do have it in my phone just so I can read it to you. Let's see. Okay. Savannah, that's fine. I just got your text message. Let me pull up. There we go. So I post this on my own wall, and I do this like every 5 days. It just says, hey, I'm sending out some 5-day trial packs of my Super Mom sticks. Who wants one? Guys, you don't have to be a mom to have someone host to post that for you. I would not post it on your own wall as the Super Mom stick if you're not a mom. It just doesn't look authentic. But if you're giving it to someone, it doesn't matter, because they're a mom. They're the ones posting it. If you're posting it and you're not a mom, you can say, I'm sending out a 5-day trial packs of our new energy sticks, or a 5-day trial packs of our mom crack, if your audience would be okay with you calling it that. Or I guess your college student crack, or whatever you want to put it as. But what I'll do is everyone that comments on it, I send them the information about the energy sticks and ask if they're interested. They say yes, and then I tell them that I have a 5-day trial pack for $16, or they can do the 30-day supply for $33 as a product model. Which one fits your budget? I don't say, are you interested? Which one fits your budget? Usually they pick the trial pack, but I have had a few people just flat out become a customer. So if they pick the trial pack, I automatically just ask them what their mailing address is. And then if they want to pay the $16 through Facebook or through PayPal, if they want a different one, I'll give it to them. But I just typically ask those two because I have it. And then if they say the loyal customer, I send the loyal customer script and go like right into normal. But guys, I have sold so many samples with that. It's super easy. And I actually happened on this by accident, because when I was doing host to post, I would have people post for me over and over and over again, which we all have those people that every month they're like, oh, do you have any posts for me? And you haven't even talked about it yet. So my order always is I post about the hair. Well, it used to be hair, skin, and nails, and then the cleanse, and then the coffee, and then the business. Well, the hair, skin, and nails would blow up. The cleanse would get a trickle, the coffee would get a trickle, and then the business would get a trickle. So, but then after that, I was like, well, because sometimes they would post like once every couple of weeks. So then I was like, well, I'm getting a lot of people for, yeah, you can do the samples with Cash App. You can do the samples with whatever you want them to pay you by. I just offer the first two. because you, first off, a confused mind says no. If you just say, hey, do you want to pay with and list off 15 things, they're like, what? So if I just say PayPal and Facebook, they'll tell me if they don't have it. I'll ask them what they do have, and I'll just conform to whatever, however they want to pay me. But I did it by accident. So I had posted it on my wall about the 5-day trial pack, just because I needed a 5-day post, a day 5 post, and it blew up. I sold a couple samples. So I was like, I wonder if I can do it as a host to post. So I did. And my host to post just says, my friend Tonya is sending out some 5-day packs of her super mom sticks. Who wants one? I do. Usually it's, what's a super mom stick? What is that? What do they do? And then I send them the information, and they usually want to do it. And then if they don't want to do it, they follow me a little bit, and I talk about it almost every day on my page, or on my stories rather. So I either do the post or do the host to post, then I go into the script, and then I send it out. And just so you guys know the numbers on this, if you buy a regular pack, it's $33. Now, I don't include shipping in this because I always buy it with something else that I'm going to use anyways. So I would have already paid for the shipping when I'm figuring out my profit. Or you can do it with your product credit, which I think they're $25. Savannah can talk more about that. I don't do product credits. No, just kidding. I'm wrong. Oh, just kidding. 19. So it's even a bigger profit margin. Maybe I do need to look into product credits. And is it what, every 2 customers you get a product credit? Right? Okay. So what I do is I sell 5 packs for $16. There are 30 packs in a bag. So 1 bag, 30 packs of little thingies. $1 of that covers shipping. I use 2 stamps, and that's how I send it out. Your area might be different. I know Savannah has to pay more for it, but for me, so figure out where your shipping is. So I'm making $15 off of every pack that I send out. So if I sell my entire bag in 5 pack increments, I make $90, which means I profit 57 because I spent 33. So if you're doing the bag for 19, I figured it for 25. And you would have profited $65. I'm not going to refigure it for 19, but you profit even more than $65. So I guess actually you just add what, $6 to that, you probably like $71. So you're profiting $70 for a freaking bag of energy sticks just by sampling them out. And again, the coffee is pretty close to that. So either one, if you're looking to make cash quick, that's an awesome way to do it. And I know Mandy will talk more about, or Chelsea will talk more about the wraps as well, because you can also profit those. So the first step is to get the leads. Second step is to sell the samples. And third step is to turn those into customers. So the end goal is still to get them into a loyal customer. So what I'll do is once I send out I try to send out the samples the Friday after they buy them, just because that's my own personal routine. Every Friday I throw samples and thank you cards in the mail. So 5 to 7 days after I send it, I'll just follow up and make sure they got it. Ask them how they like it. Like if they lead me to putting in an order, I will, but I don't pressure them at that point. If they tell me they've only tried like 1 stick or, whatever. And then what I'll do is a few days after that, usually about a week, I just message them and I literally say, hey, I'm putting in orders for those energy sticks this week. I have some 40% discount codes. Do you want one of them? Or I have some 40% discount spots is actually what I say, because I don't like using the word code. That's what I was given. But when I say code, I feel like they expect me to like send them something and I don't have a code. So I say I have some 40% discount spots left. Do you want one of them? When they say yes, automatically, okay, it's this amount as a loyal customer. Does that fit in your budget? Yes. Loyal customer. Does that make sense? Yes. So I still go straight into the loyal customer stuff. So yeah, that's about all I got on samples. I do not sell a whole crap ton of them because I do focus more on the hair, skin, and nails. But the way I look at it is, what host to host work for you and what don't. Right now, the hair, skin, and nails works as long as I'm consistent with it. The other ones I'm not really getting much off of. So, but the energy sticks I am. So I would rather make sample cash than make nothing. Yes, I'd rather have a loyal customer. But if I'm not going to get a loyal customer, I'd at least want to get sample cash. So that's kind of how I look at it. So I'm going to have Savannah just give a couple of tips. I told her, but I didn't remind you, so I apologize. But I'm assuming you remembered. If you just have any tips that you want to add on to that, because I gave her, anyone on my team knows, I try something out for a few weeks before I ever train it on anybody. I haven't trained anyone on this yet. But a couple times I shared like my conversation, just saying, hey, I made some sample money. here was the conversation. And then I sent the scripts to Savannah because she had asked specifically, I think, for it. And hers freaking blew up. She makes more sample cash on this than I do. And at first I was a little salty. I was like, seriously? Like, she is like rolling in this. And I was like, no, that's the point. Like, you want your team to get better than you. So she's going to give a couple tips or just anything that she wants to add to what I just said.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that I know that the leaders on here, they will try something before. Oh gosh, I'm not staring at myself. Okay. Anyway, I will look at my little screen. Anyway, so if your leaders, or if they're like, making bank, I guess you would want to say, then they've been doing this particular method or whatever for weeks. So you have to be patient. For me, I've been doing the energy host to post, everything that she said, as far as in like scripts and all that junk. I follow her to the T. Like, seriously, there's like success leaves clues, right? And anyway, so it literally has taken me almost an entire month for it to get off the ground. I'm not really a green person, but I went through and I got some numbers. So for those that are green, here you go. So I've had 135 people post this energy host to post for me. And I'm not a mom, not even close to being a mom. I have a dog, but that's about it. But I don't change anything. I don't take anything out of like it. Instead of saying my mom energy sticks, it's our. So anyway, and then I've had several non-moms post it also. And yes, I've had some people like be really gross on some of the comments, and it's like, really, use some common sense. But usually whenever someone comments something like absurd, it's just because of the person that's posting it. It has nothing to do with you. So just FYI. Anyway, so I've had 135 people post that. So 135 haps have been put up just with the energy sticks. And so far, well, I got 2 customers today. So I've gotten 4 customers total within a month period time. And then I've sold 10 sample packs of 5. I did have one person that wanted to just buy one, but she never came through with it. And I'm like, well, whatever. And so like Tonya said, for every 2 customers that you get and you keep, you get 1 product reward, and 1 bag of energy is $19. And I think all you do is pay tax. So I bought 2 because of the 10 sets of 5 packs that I had sold. I had to replace mine because I use the energy sticks as well every morning. And so that was like $40 and some change. So, however, all of that to say is I've profited about $118, $120 just on those 10 packs of energy. And for how I mail them off is I have just a regular note card. I write a little like a thank you or whatnot, stick it in here, and I take it to my local post office. Yes, I will go to the post office every day. I'm just weird like that. If I don't do it the next day, then yeah, I won't do it at all. And so what they'll do is at the post office, they'll weigh it. And anyhow, it cost me 75 cents. So, and I keep the receipts because you can use that also on your tax thing as well. But anyway, I don't really think that I have a whole lot to say. Oh yeah, I do too. Just kidding. Also, when you sell a sample pack, write them down. I hadn't been doing that like when I was selling like coffee or I think coffee is about the only thing that I would attempt to sell. And I did do okay with the coffee, but that was a couple of years ago. And but write them down. My first set of people that I have sold samples to, I haven't yet gone through with the follow-up because I didn't really know exactly where to go from there. And so thank you, Tonya, on that energy stick follow-up. But however, if you feel like it's not like taking off as you want it to, be consistent. You have to do it every day. Like there are some people you'll go through, it's like any post actually that you can have like 5 people post it, no comments. And then the next day you have like 20 something people. And it's like, yeah, that's what happened to me like 2 days ago. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, just be patient and just continue on doing it and you'll get better at it, because you'll gain, the more you do it, the more of a confident you'll get. Okay. I think I'm done.
For sure. No, and that was so good. When you talked about going to the post office every day, that just gave me anxiety right there. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh no, that's too much. But I've also had to reimburse people because I've waited so long to send out their things. Not this time, but this is why I stopped selling samples a long time ago when I did the coffee, because I would do the keto coffee and I would have to go to the post office to do it. And I would just procrastinate. And then I would still send the coffee because I talked to them. Obviously I'm not going to be rude, but I would reimburse them because I waited like 2 weeks to send the product. And that's my fault. Like, that's horrible customer service. I do want to point out though, she talked about how she had to replace her own because she uses it. One, use the dang products, because then you can honestly talk to them. I can't tell you how many times people come to me off of a hosted post for the moms, the super mom stuff. And like, oh, well, do they actually work? And I can voice message them like, yeah, dude, I take these every freaking day. They work. There's a reason. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I've been told this by multiple other moms, that I get more done in a day than a lot of them get done in a week. This stuff is like freaking brain food. But then she also talked about how she replaced her own, meaning she's making enough sample cash just from what I just figured out that she's pretty much paying for her auto ship. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to use the products, I'd rather pay the free price for them than pay for them every month. And I've been doing that with mine. Is I haven't paid for my auto ship for the last 2 months because my sample cash has covered it. So that's a pretty good feeling too, because all you're doing is you're just profiting back in your pocket. But then, like she said, with any host to host, pick one and use it for 30 days. Do not have 5 people post in. You know what? If you're only posting 2 or 3 host to host a day, use it for 60 days before you decide that it doesn't work. Because I can't tell you how many times 10, 15, 20 host to post with nothing. And then boom, 25 comments. And I don't know why it works like that. I wish it didn't. I would rather just have everyone have like 4 or 5 comments on it than have one blow up and like everybody else has nothing. But that's just how it works. Numbers even out and it never happens the way you want it to. So I'm going to pass it on to Mandy. I know she makes a crap ton of money with the coffee samples. So she's going to talk more about the coffee samples and what she does to do it, because she doesn't have the sample app, I don't believe. So she has to like do it like what we're doing in Energy Sticks. There's no fancy little app. But if you don't mind, Mandy, touching on the app, what you know about it, because I know those of us in the States do have it. So that makes it a little bit easier for us as well. And sorry, guys, my kid is like, so she's being real good, but she's doing crafts, which means sometimes there's like random scribbling sounds or like she's banging on something trying to get it to glue together. So whatever you hear in the background, that's what it is.
Hello, you guys. Okay, hey. Yeah, so I'm in Australia, so we don't have the app. And I don't have energy sticks. I don't have collagen. I don't have super greens. I don't have hydrate. I don't have any of that. So what I'm telling you is if I can do this in Australia, there's no reason why you can't make a ton of cash wherever you are. As much as I know from the app, like Tonya was saying, so I don't know a ton about it, but it makes it super convenient for you guys to just, you know, kind of go on the app and order the sample. From what I can understand, you must order the samples and then mail, like you put someone's address on them or something. I really don't know a whole lot about it, to be completely honest with you. So there's a couple of ways. I didn't even like write notes because I'm kind of just going to fly off the top of my head. Every single day, I will some form talk to people about samples, and I mainly sell samples of keto coffee because, like I said, we don't have a lot of other stuff over here. So I have sold samples of keto coffee. We do have the old greens on the go over here, and we have the wraps and the facials as well. So I can sell samples of all of those. I'll either, like today in my story, I just created this. I took a picture of me holding like 5 sachets of coffee, and then I went into the layout app, or it's like a feature of Instagram, and I made it so it was like I think it was like 9 little squares, and then I posted it like this. Hang on, I'll just show you quickly. Hopefully you guys can Can you see that? It's probably not very good, but it just says, I got that idea, I think, from somebody else, but it just says sold 10 over the weekend, so opening up another 10 spots this week, and it just says 5-day fat burning packs, no commitment and delicious. So you guys, if you've got Skinny Brew or if you've got collagen or anything like that, you can always take, like, you can take a picture of you holding it 3 days or 5 days or whatever you sell it as, and do the same thing. Or you can just say, like, doing one-time sample packs for collagen or whatever, no commitment, is delicious, blah blah blah. That you can mention a little bit about what it does, and then sometimes I'll post about samples. So I'll just say, I have a whole note section in my phone that's just all about samples. So you could do, like, if you've got stuff on hand, like Tonya was saying, she for the last 2 months hasn't paid for her auto shipment because Sample Cash has covered it over. I personally would use my auto shipment to pay for my own products, and then I use my product rewards, like Savannah was saying, for my coffee. So I know that you guys have, I believe, your energy potentially is on your product rewards, but in Australia anyways, we just have keto coffee, facials and wraps. So I know for me, I can order a bag of coffee for $33, including, like, because it's free shipping or whatever, $33, and I'll turn around and make that into $105. So I make about $60 profit, because over here I don't actually have any envelopes in the van, they're all in the house because I just got back to my parents. I go to, this is just going to be for my girls in Australia right now, so I'm sorry. But I go to Kmart and I get the C5 size envelopes, and then I put a thank you card in them as well, which I don't think I have one of them on me either. Oh, maybe I do. Do I? No, I don't. But I ordered a ton of thank you cards off of Vistaprint that's just got a picture of me, and it just says, like, thanks so much for your support and your order, and it's got my website down the side of it. And then on the back side of it, I always write a note to them and just say, like, if I know that something's happened, like I sent a sample pack to a lady who lost, like, her father-in-law. So I was like, hey, I'm sending you a whole ton of love. I hope that you really enjoy this coffee. Let me know when you get it. I always try and tell them to let me know when they get it, so that I can make sure that I tell them the best way to use it. Some people don't like the keto coffee. So the cool thing is that if they're trying 5 days worth, they can try it hot, they can try it cold. We obviously don't have greens, chocolate greens over here. So at the supermarket, you can buy, like, a sugar-free chocolate powder. So I suggest people do that. There's so many different ways. I actually also have a customer group, like, page group on Facebook that I'll add in my sample customers into as well, so that if they're telling me they tried one sachet and they don't like it, then we've kind of got a thread of how, like, the girls on my team and my other customers find a way that they like it. And then if I'm doing host a post for coffee, or if I make a post about, like, just coffee or anything, my script in boards, and I think I feel like I got this from someone in the Leaders Made Here, but when I'm telling people the price of the coffee, I offer them a sample pack straight away. And 99% of the time when I sell a sample, they'll either just not like it, and that's fine, or they will become a loyal customer, or they'll become a distributor, because they get a bag. In Australia, they get a bag of keto coffee and 2 wraps in their starter kit. So yeah, I always tell them, like, okay, you're gonna love this coffee. I have 5-day sample packs for $35 or a month supply, and then I tell them what the retail price is, what the lower customer price is, and then what the customer program is. So I sell a lot of sample cash, I make a lot of sample cash that way, because a lot of people over here, it's $123 for people to buy a month's supply of coffee. So people quite often don't want to commit to that straight away if they're not going to like it. So even if I know that, I don't think anybody else does this, but for instance, if somebody says to you, I don't want to order a whole month's supply, I don't know if I'm going to like it, you can then offer them, hey, I've got a 3-day sample pack of Skinny Brew and it's $20 or whatever, or even for the collagen or the hydrate or the energy sticks or whatever, and if I'm going to like it, then you can tell them, like, yeah, well, I've got a sample pack. So you can kind of knock it back, if that makes sense. What else? I do keep track as well. I had to whip this up really quickly because I only got back yesterday, and it turns out I'd run out of coffee myself and I had pre-sold samples already. But I have a notebook, and then what I do is I just I write their names down, and then I don't know if you guys can see this, but I write their names down, and then I write what product they ordered, because like I might make a post that said sending out skinny coffee, detox greens, and skinny wraps. Who wants one? Then I like to write it down so I know what, when I'm following up with them, I know what I'm talking about. So I write down their name, the product. If they've paid, I just tick it. When I've sent it, I tick it. And then I've got follow up and enroll, which I also have a lot of my loyal customers that are ordering like hair, skin and nails, or TFX. Off the top of my head, that's all I can think of. That when I make a post about coffee, they quite often, or I'll post it in, I'll post something about samples in my story, and they'll be like, oh yeah, can I grab one? I'm like, yeah, absolutely you can. So I have a lot of people that do that. I normally wait probably, like I think Tonya said this, about a week. I normally follow up with them and just make sure that they've got it and ask them how they're liking it. And then obviously I say to them, try, if they say to me, because I don't know, I feel like the new keto coffee is way better than the old stuff, but I just say to them, or if you're not liking it, I ask them, how did you make it up? Maybe try it cold tomorrow. I think we all have these. I don't have one in the van, but I have a little electric milk whisk. So quite often people will ask me, like, where did you get that from? And I in Australia, I buy them from IKEA, and they're like $3. You can buy them from other little shops and stuff as well, because I find that mixes it up a lot better. What else was I going to say? But I make a lot of cash every month. And I think all of us almost are in the US, so it would be different for you guys. But they had the winner's circle on for a few months, and then because I'm an international, they were like, we don't want to keep putting on these winner's circle things, and all these people are going to the ranch and going to the island. You guys can't go. Last month we had a boost reward system that you had to get 100 points. I think you had to sign 4 distributors, 8 customers, run an auto shipment, get your conference ticket, and basically get 100 points. And that meant that I earned that, which was a $500 bonus. And then they gave you $500 in product rewards, which when I worked that out, it's like $1,500 profit just from the sample cash, like from the sample cash that you can earn from using your product rewards. So I set a goal every month too. And it might be something that you guys can do. Like one of the girls on my team really wants to buy these Fandangle freaking sunglasses that are like $250. And so I was like, you can make that so quickly. Some days I think the most I've ever made in a day was about $500. And I know that that's obviously different with like the money that between you guys, I can't speak right now, the currency, is that what I'm trying to say? The exchange rate, it's obviously quite different. But just talking about it every day as well. Like I post the coffee every single day on my story, whether it's a boomerang, whether it's me drinking it, whether it's me talking about how I'm reading my book and I'm drinking my coffee, or I'll post about it on my page. I'm always talking to people about the coffee at some way, shape or form. And the other thing too is like with that post that I did, it's still over $300. Oh, well, that's awesome. With that sample thing that I did in my story, anybody who watches your story, just send them a message. I have a message that I don't have boards on my iPad, so I won't be able to put it in here, but I have a message that anybody who watches my story, like if you need to make some quick cash, and don't get me wrong, quick cash is paid for tires on my car, it's paid for date nights, it's paid for so many different things, that if you're like, oh crap, like I need like $20 because I need to put fuel in my car, well, I'm just going to go sell a sample pack and boom, it's done. So yeah, $60 profit is about what I make from a bag. By the time you take out like the stamps, in Australia it costs $2.20 to mail out a sample pack. Where is it? Yeah, so anybody who watches your story, and this can be for anything. If you're making your collagen, if you're making your super reds, if you're making your coffee in the morning, anything like that, it just says, hey girl, thanks for watching my story about my fat burning coffee. It's seriously so delicious. Would you be interested in trying it? And then I typically will offer them just a sample, or if they're telling me, you know, like they want to lose weight and they've been watching me for ages, then I'll mention like some people do lose weight. I have had a couple of customers that have lost like up to 1 kilo in 5 days. I don't know what that works out to be in pounds, from 5-day sample packs. But I will tell people, like I'll voice message them and I will just make a point of saying like, hey, you know, don't expect to see huge results in 5 days. This is just going to allow you to notice how it gives you energy, notice it curbing your cravings. You're going to be able to know if like how you like the taste of it. And then I'll give you my 40% discount when you finished your 5 days worth. I try not to sell sample packs like too many to the same person, if this makes sense. I heard this from someone else and I don't remember who it was, but I do have one girl who she's about to order a 3rd sample pack. And so when I ran out of coffee, I was like, she's already had 2. So I'll mail hers off. I'm hoping my package comes in tomorrow. What else? But I always try and make a goal. Like my goal this month is to make $1,000 in sample cash, and I've sold 6 samples already. So that's like almost $200. But I feel like it's something like we were all saying that you have to keep doing over and over and over again. Like try posting maybe once a week on your page, like, hey, I'm sending out skinny coffee samples or whatever. There's so many different things. Like you can make a post of you drinking it, saying you're sending out samples. You can just do a plain background. And then you could put a poll in your story of you like doing a boomerang with your coffee and just saying like 40% off and I want to try it. And then so anybody who clicks I want to try it, then you can message them and say, hey, I've got 5-day sample packs for $35. Like just pay ID work for you. I don't do Facebook. We don't have Venmo over here. It's pretty much just like a bank transfer, or pay ID just means you can pay to someone's phone number and it makes it really easy. And yeah, I just have to go to the post office pretty regularly all the time, almost every day, because I'm selling so many. And that's obviously going to change when I start traveling. I'm just going to have to make it like once a week I go to a post office. I don't know. I'm going to figure that out. But I think that's kind of all I had. But when Tonya was saying too, like make sure that you're using the products, because people are going to come to you and they're going to ask, what does it taste like? How does it make you feel? And you need to be able to do that yourself. And I know, like I said, in Australia, we get a bag of keto coffee in our starter kit. And I know that you guys don't get products as such in your starter kit, but potentially send one of those, the Skinny Brew samples, send one to yourself and then sell the other ones that you have. I can't remember how many you said that you get in your kit, but so that then you can at least say, I've tried it and this is what I found.
So I've only made $36 in one day. I think I have a little bit of catching up to do with Mandy. I was like, dang, $500. That's awesome. And for those of you in the States who don't know this, the starter kit is $99 and it just comes with the Skinny Brew samples. If you buy the starter kit, that's $108.50. You get 2 full bags of the coffee and I think a bag of greens. I don't remember, but you get all the products. So I don't even offer the $99 kit. I just straight up offer the one. It's like $350 normal, but right now it is $105.50 or $108.50 or something. I know it's less than $110. They're basically paying like an extra $9, but they're getting a crap ton of products. And I know I can show them how to turn around and sell it. 2 Skinny Brew, a TFX, and a gummy. Totally kidding. Even better than what I thought. But I know I can turn around and have them sell that right away and make money on it. Plus they're trying products themselves. So typically that's the one that I just tell them, like, it's normally $350. I send a screenshot. It tells them how much it is. Today it's this much. Are you ready to get started? So just so you know, because I used to think, I would hear Alicia talk about the Canadian starter kit. I was like, well, we get gifts. I don't just want to get I just don't want them to just get the samples. And then when I realized how simple it was to just upsell to that one. Yeah, I don't even upsell because I don't tell them about the other one. But anyways, so those were really good. I'm definitely going to get more pointed with my samples. Right now I do samples as kind of like an afterthought, which sounds kind of bad, but I definitely want to set goals for like, okay, I want to buy this. I want to make this much sample cash to pay for it, because I think that's an easy way to like set the small goals, or not even small. You said $1,000, like our mortgage is right around there. US, I don't know what that translates to Australian. but have a goal of like, I want to pay my mortgage or pay my car payment or whatever, like with sample cash. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm going to pass it on to Chelsea, and Chelsea's going to talk about, I know we always talk about how like I'm stronger in some areas than Mandy and Chelsea are, and Mandy's stronger in some areas than we are, and Chelsea's stronger in areas that the two of us aren't. And Mandy was saying how she had been trying to sell some wraps and hadn't sold them. And then while we're on the Zoom, she sold one. So I feel like that was just a little boost of confidence of like, hey, look, do what I'm doing and be consistent, because she didn't give up and she sold one, and probably will sell several more because that's how it happens. And then she's also going to give a few points on just talking to people about products in general. And I think she's also going to touch on the working whenever you don't feel like working, because we all feel like that. Like, again, I don't care who you are, how long you've been in the business. You have lots of days you don't want to show up. And the ones that do show up are the ones that make money. The ones that don't. And that literally is the only difference between those of us who do make a lot of money in this and the people who feel like they're always treading water or always starting over. So Mandy, I don't even know where you're at. If you want to start talking, I think you'll pop up.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, I'm good. All right. So, I actually love this Zoom so far. So I want to say thank you to Tonya, Savannah, and Mandy for giving us awesome tips, because I learned something new from all three of you already. So I'm really excited about that and to start being able to use that for myself. Like Tonya said, I don't usually focus on samples as much, but when I do, it usually comes to me eventually. It's all about the consistency, and a lot of it has to do with the follow-up. Just like your loyal customers, right? Like you can't just start talking to someone and expect for them to order that same exact day. You have to make sure that you follow up with them. The fortune's always going to be in the follow-up. 9 times out of 10 with samples, it's going to be the same exact thing. And you'll hear that 100 times in this business. So when I do sell samples, mostly I do sell the Skinny Brew samples, because we have the electronic ones that we can send out through the Connect app. Let me just turn my ringer off real quick so it doesn't ding in your guys' ears.
Oh, sorry. I'm the one who texted you.
That's all right. So I usually do the Skinny Brew coffee trial packs, and I love the Connect app for this. I used to do it the same exact way that Mandy does it, and I do still do that when I'm doing the keto coffee and the greens, because we don't have the sample packs for that. I love the idea of the energy sticks. I'm going to start doing that myself. Honestly, I think that's amazing. And then as far as doing any other ones, I like to do wraps now, because I use a wrap host to post all the time. I'm putting this up like everywhere. Everybody's posting it for me, and I'm getting a lot of hits on it, and it's crazy. I'll put it in the chat right when we're getting ready to get done, so you guys want to hurry up and scoff that up. But I'm putting it up there, and I'm getting everybody to post it for me. And then what I'm doing is when someone's interested, I'm following up with them the next week. So not that first week. That first week, I'm creating urgency, saying, hey, I'm putting in a couple of orders for my skinny wraps. Do you want one? The second week, I'm sending them the wrap hap follow up with a sample. And I put that in the chat for you guys so you guys can see. I personally do mine for $25 because I pay for shipping. I know some people do it for 20. I know some people do it for 30. It's all based on how much you want to get out of it and how much you have to pay for shipping and stuff like that. So remember that. But if you scroll up, you'll see that in the chat. And I've been getting a lot of people interested in the samples of the wraps. And I've just been making it clear to them that this is just for them to test it, to see how they like the feeling of it. And then once they get it in the mail, I follow up with them a week later, just like Tonya and Mandy do too. And that's key, guys. Like that is key. If you don't follow up with them after they get their sample, chances of you getting a loyal customer is slim to none, because you have to actually follow up with them. You have to make sure they're using it the right way. You have to make sure that you're checking in on them, and that retention alone is enough to get their attention. So super important to make sure that you're following up with them once they get it. And then I've just got a few things that I just want to kind of rapid fire down there. It was a lot of what you guys said, but kind of on my perspective. So it's making sure you're staying consistent. It's all about consistency, guys. If you, like Tonya said, if you try it for a couple of days and you're like, oh, this isn't working for me, it's not going to work for you within a couple of days. You have to stay consistent with anything. and just keep doing it and keep trying. And if you get through, a month of trying it and it's not working that month or whatever, try a different sample pack. Maybe it's your market that likes coffee more than they like skinny wraps, or maybe they like energy sticks more than they like the coffee, right? So switch it up, try different things, see what's going to work best for you. And when it hits, don't switch it up. Just keep going with the same exact thing that's hitting good, right? So make sure that you're doing that. I do the wrap app. I already said that. Even if you're posting about samples, making sure you're keeping it really simple. You don't want to bombard people and like kind of word vomit all over them. So if you're starting to talk to someone about the samples, you don't want to tell them everything in one message. Instead, what I like to do is I break it down into a conversation. So I do the same thing with when I'm normally talking to potential loyal customers, I do kind of the same exact thing for samples too. I tell them about the product, and then they answer, and then I give them the price, and then they answer, and we keep it conversational. So we're not word vomiting all over them and overwhelming them to the point where they say no. Some people do it differently and can keep it shorter than I can. I can't keep it short within one message, so I don't like to do that. So I keep it conversational no matter what. And then making sure that even if someone's interested in a sample, but they don't order it that day, still follow up with them for that sample. They were interested once, which means that they're always interested. So even if you want to talk to them about a different product or a different sample that you have, it's always going to rope back around to once they're interested once, they're always interested. Another big tip is using the product yourself. I can't say this enough. If you are not using the products yourself, then you're missing out, because people will believe you more if you're using it consistently, especially if you're putting it on your story every single day. And when you go to put up a post about it, talking about how you use it yourself. I think all of us make our coffee or make our products in our story every single day. And that's why we're able to get the people to actually buy the samples or actually understand when we're talking about it that we're actually using it. So they trust us more. And so absolutely using the products every single day is so important. And then I had number 4, I actually put up a post on my Facebook for samples sometimes. And I got this from someone else's Zoom, I don't even know, months ago. Okay. And someone had said, and they just repeated on our Diamond and Above call at some point, and they said, I'm sending out blank until I run out. Who wants one? I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before, but I post this on my Facebook about wraps. And I say, I'm sending out skinny wrap samples until I run out. Who wants one? And people blow the comment section up. But you can do this about any product. You can do this about the energy sticks. I'm sending out mom sticks. I'm sending out keto coffee samples. I don't really say keto coffee. So you could say I'm sending out skinny coffee samples. I'm sending out fat burning coffee samples. I'm sending out skinny white mocha fat burning coffee samples. Whoa, you can say whatever. Okay. And then people are going to comment on it. Just because they comment on it doesn't mean that they're going to message you. So you have to physically reach out. You have to be the one who gets in their inbox and sends them that message. And if you don't, you're definitely missing out, because you have to act. It's kind of like a follow-up, right? Like they comment on it. You have to be the one to take that initiative to reach out. And when I reach out, I just say something simple like, hey girl, just saw your comment on my post about my skinny wraps. Is that something that you're interested in? Boom. If I am talking about a sample pack, I'm going to say something like, hey girl, I just saw your comment on my post about my skinny wraps. Do you want some info on the sample pack that I have? Super simple, right? You can keep it simple. If you guys want to write that down, totally do it. I don't have it written down. I send voice messages and I love it. So if you want to be personal, whatever you want to call it, start sending voice messages for it. Keep it really, really simple. Keep that conversation good. And that excitement transfers. So when you're excited about it and you put it into a voice message, they instantly catch on like, man, this girl really is into these. So I really need to try them. Right. So that's what I have on samples. Keep it really, really simple. But one of the things I want to touch base on, just lastly, what Tonya said before, I'm so happy you said that. And you know what's so funny is that was on my heart today too. So it must have been a message. And so The thing is too, is that when I first started my business, it was really hectic. You guys, a lot of you guys have been on this Zoom call with us before and have heard my story. It was crazy when I first started this business, and I was literally having the hardest time with anxiety. And like Tonya, she said that she was having a hard time back then too. And we just learned how to manage it. I learned how to manage it now. I'm not on medication. I do personal development like crazy, right? So when it comes down to it though, when I first started, I was not in that position. And things just kept happening over and over and over again, just like falling apart. And within my first month to my 6th month that I got started, my grandfather who raised me passed away. My dad had a heart attack 3 months later. I was suffering with anxiety, PTSD, all the things, right? I was going through a mental breakdown. My fiance now was leaving me. We had a kid already and everything, and we were splitting up completely. So my whole world was being thrown out the window, and I had to make a decision for myself. And my upline even quit on me. And I had to make the decision to either give up or keep going. And things were going crazy. Crap was hitting the fan. It was wild. And I remember going to my dad's, hospital room back then. And I told him about how I started my business or whatever. And he said, well, why aren't you working it? And that just made me realize that I needed to keep going. Even when things got tough, he would have been more proud of me if I would have kept going instead of just, quit, right off the bat. And so I kept going, even throughout those hard times. And I've worked this business in every single season of my life, guys. I literally worked this when I first started working 70 hours a week at 2 different jobs. I worked this pregnant. My hip bones were falling apart, guys. I was in physical therapy. It was a wild pregnancy with Bo, which is my son. And I went through the stage of, Matt working, which is my fiance, me being home full time. I went through stages of my car breaking down and me having to walk back home, which, guys, I live in the country. So having to do that was crazy. And I was working on my phone the whole entire time. Every single time I hit a little spot of reception. Okay. I've had to do these things. And so if I can do it, I'm not any different than you are, right? We have to understand that we all have different walks of life, and there's going to be crazy things happening. But if I don't show up for my paycheck, then my paycheck's not going to show up for me. So I have to make it a priority every single day. So I want to make sure I touch base on that. You're going to go through so many seasons in this business, and some of them are going to be really, really exciting and really crazy. And you're going to feel good and wild in all different ways. Right. But some of them are going to be really tough seasons, and you have to be grateful that you have this business that's so flexible, so that you don't have to worry about, like Tonya said, calling out of work when something goes crazy, right? You get to work a business that's flexible, right? Let's switch our mindsets around and start realizing that we have something so amazing at our fingertips. So I just want to touch base on that. I hope that helped you guys.
Definitely. I love that. And I love that you talked about how we all can do it. So you can do it. Like, none of us started with big warm markets. Actually, I don't think any of us started with any warm market. None of us started with any kind of influence. If you looked at our social medias, I had 89 followers when I started. I don't know about Chelsea and Mandy. I know they didn't have a lot, but I don't know what their number was. And we all have built this. So this isn't something where you have someone coming on here, I just think of, Alyssa Billieu, when she tells her story, and I love her story, but to me, it's not relatable to my story at all. Cause she talks about how she was a big time blogger and had all these Instagram followers. And she was obviously she's like a freaking Barbie doll. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me. But you'll hear people like that, and that's awesome. They're going to relate to somebody, but I feel like the majority of people don't start with that kind of influence. So you may look at them okay, but I don't know how to make live videos. I don't know how to spell very well, let alone write a blog. I don't know how to edit this stuff. I don't have a way with words or whatever. And just know that we all had to polish our own skills to get here. I can tell you that when I started, my upline told me to post a selfie, and I said, no, not this girl. Y'all, I was beyond overweight. I had no self-confidence. This business gave me the self-confidence. That was the big thing I was lacking. because I gained so much weight after having Glory, and I was never used to being very big. I was always like fit big. I worked out. I love to lift. I was never like fat big, if that makes sense. Like I'm 5'9" and I've always been big, but I've never been like big. All my selfies had the stupid like dog filters on it back when, because that was a thing in 2016. Snapchat was huge. I remember my what do you call it? My memories pop up and I'm like, dear Lord, why did I post that picture? But it got me out of my comfort zone. And now, no, like my self-confidence is through the roof. Just call me Kim Kane, for real. She posts stuff and I vibe with her all the time. I'm like, yeah, girl, like you get it. You love your body. You love all of the mom pouches and all of the stretch marks and whatever the heck you got, the saggy boobies, all of it. Like we talk about it openly because that is part of our life. And that's part of our story. So anyways, every day, like that's kind of my motto, is making everyday normal moms into millionaires. That is literally what I want our team to be doing. They won't send here, but any photos. Chelsea, if you don't mind sending me and Mandy too, whatever scripts and photos you use, when I repost this, I will put all of that in the comments. That way people can go and get them from there. Next week, we're going to be talking about next week is our last week of the Freedom Series. I don't even know how it went by so quick, but we're going to specifically be talking about, retention. So team culture, loyal customer retention, all of it. Show up. And it doesn't matter really how good you get at recruiting, and whether you're talking about recruiting distributors or recruiting customers, if you can't keep any of them. And that's something I learned the hard way. I think Chelsea and I talked about this, that she kind of learned the hard way too at one point, because we're both Reds and we would like run people off. And we also both like the hunt. So for me, it was hard to slow down and like retain my customers. Okay, I got you signed up. Boom, on to the next. And 4 months later, I was like, why'd they cancel their auto ship? And like, I had never talked to them since they bought them. That's probably why. Or distributors. Like my motto was and I've heard leaders say this, I don't agree with it, but some will, some won't, who cares next? That's not a good motto, guys. But that was my motto. I was like, whatever, you ain't gonna work. Shoot, I don't need you. Well, yeah, you do. Like you kind of need a team if you want to go to the top with this. It's not any fun building everybody when you could help them build themselves. So show up next week. Thank you, ladies, for hopping on this week, and we will see y'all later.